The fire was not supposed to exist. That was the first thing every alien engineer said later. Because the corridor where it began had no oxygen, no fuel, and no reason to burn. Yet the flames spread across the metal walls of the interstellar station like a living creature. And in the middle of that impossible fire, a human ran straight into it. The celestial Concord station floated between 3 star systems like a jewel built from treaties and fragile peace. It was the place where powerful alien empires met, traded, and sometimes pretended they liked each other. Humans were new here. Not powerful, not advanced, but unpredictable. That was why the station hired them for strange jobs. Ethan Calder was one of those humans. Officially, he was a systems technician. Unofficially, he was the person they called when alien technology stopped making sense. He stood in Maintenance Corridor Delta 9 holding a diagnostic tablet and staring at a glowing warning message. Warning: environmental instability detected. Ethan sighed. Yeah, he muttered. That sounds like my whole career. The corridor was quiet except for distant station hums and the occasional floating drone gliding past like bored jellyfish. Then the alarm changed. The calm blue lights suddenly flashed red. Emergency alert, the station voice announced. Thermal anomaly detected in diplomatic sector. Ethan blinked. Thermal anomaly? In space? He started walking faster toward the alert zone. That was when he saw them. The royal procession. Alien guards lined the hallway like statues made of dark metal. Hovering drones floated around them, projecting shimmering shields. At the center of the formation walked the Queen of the Aurelian Empire. Tall, silent, dangerous. Her species looked almost human but not quite. Their eyes contained faint rings of glowing light, like distant stars trapped inside them. Beside her walked the princess. Princess Lyra. She looked younger than the Queen but carried the same strange calm confidence. The guards stopped Ethan immediately. Civilian, one of them said. Clear the corridor. Ethan raised his hand slightly. Happy to, he replied. I was never emotionally prepared to meet royalty before lunch anyway. One of the drones scanned him. Human technician, it announced. Authorized maintenance personnel. The princess looked at him with curiosity. Humans fascinated many alien species. Mostly because humans were reckless in ways logic could not explain. Is the station safe? She asked calmly. Ethan opened his mouth to answer. Then the wall exploded. The fire burst from the docking corridor like a solar storm. Bright orange flames spread across the ceiling and raced down the hallway faster than gravity should allow. Guards shouted. Emergency shields activated. But the fire didn't care. It moved through the shields. Ethan felt heat slam into his face. That's not normal, he whispered. The station voice screamed through the speakers. Containment failure. Unknown energy combustion detected. More flames surged forward. The guards moved instantly, forming a defensive barrier around the Queen. But Princess Lyra had stepped too far forward. A piece of burning metal crashed between her and the guards. The corridor filled with smoke. For one moment, no one moved. Alien protocol systems began calculating responses. Evacuation paths. Containment procedures. Command authority. All of it took time. Humans had a different system. It was called instinct. Ethan didn't think. He ran. Straight into the fire. Behind him someone shouted in shock. The heat hit him like a wall. His jacket started smoking instantly. Yep, Ethan gasped while running. This was definitely a terrible idea. Princess Lyra was coughing, trying to stand as flames crawled along the walls. Her glowing eyes widened when she saw the human charging toward her. Human, stop, she shouted. He ignored her. A burning beam collapsed from above. Ethan dove forward, sliding across the floor and grabbing her arm. Hi, he said quickly. We should leave. She stared at him like he was insane. You will die, she said. Probably, Ethan replied. But let's try not to test that theory. Another explosion shook the corridor. The fire surged closer. Ethan pulled her to her feet and wrapped her arm around his shoulder. The princess was lighter than he expected but burning hot from the surrounding flames. They staggered toward the safe corridor. Behind them the fire roared louder. And something strange happened. The flames followed them. Not spreading randomly. Following. Ethan noticed immediately. "That's weird," he muttered. Princess Lyra looked back. Her glowing eyes narrowed. "That fire is not natural," she said. Ethan laughed breathlessly. "Trust me, Princess. I already figured that part out." They were halfway across the corridor when another blast shook the station. The ceiling collapsed behind them. The fire surged again like a predator chasing prey. Ahead of them, the guards finally cleared a path. 2 armored soldiers rushed forward. They grabbed the princess and pulled her into safety. Ethan collapsed beside them, coughing and wiping soot from his face. The flames stopped at the doorway like they had reached an invisible barrier. Then they vanished. Just like that. The corridor was silent again. Smoke drifted through the air. The Queen walked forward slowly. Her eyes locked on Ethan. The guards expected anger. Or royal pride. Instead, the Queen studied the human like a scientist discovering a new species. "You ran into fire," she said. Ethan coughed. "Technically," he said, "I ran toward the screaming." The princess stepped forward. Her glowing eyes studied him carefully. "You saved my life," she said. Ethan shrugged. "I mean, someone had to." The guards whispered among themselves. No alien had ever seen a human do something so reckless for someone outside their species. The Queen raised her hand. Silence fell instantly. She looked at Ethan again. Then she said something no one expected. "Human," the Queen said calmly, "step forward." Ethan blinked. "That sentence usually ends badly for humans," he said. Still, he stepped forward. The Queen spoke again. Her voice carried across the corridor. And across the entire station through security recordings. "By ancient law of the Aurelian Empire," she declared, "the one who saves royal blood earns a royal reward." Ethan's stomach dropped. He suddenly had a terrible feeling. The Queen continued. "And so I declare this human." She pointed directly at him. "Will marry the princess." The entire corridor froze. Even the station AI paused processing for 0.7 seconds. Ethan stared at her. Then at the princess. Then back at the Queen. "Okay," he said slowly. "I feel like we skipped several meetings before arriving at that decision." Princess Lyra looked just as shocked. But deep inside the station systems, hidden programs awakened. The fire had not been an accident. And the human who ran into it had just stepped into a conspiracy that could destroy entire star systems. The next attempt would not be fire. It would be war. No one spoke for several seconds. The corridor was still filled with smoke, damaged metal, and stunned silence after the Queen's declaration. The royal guards looked confused. The station drones hovered in uncertain circles. Even the station's artificial intelligence seemed unsure how to categorize what had just happened. A human marrying the Aurelian princess was not just unusual. It was impossible. Ethan Calder stood there with soot on his face and burnt sleeves, staring at the most powerful alien ruler in 3 star systems. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I appreciate the offer, but I feel like there might be paperwork involved in marrying someone from another galaxy." Several guards tightened their grips on their weapons. The Queen did not smile. The princess, however, looked like she was trying very hard not to laugh. "This is not a negotiation," the Queen said calmly. "It is imperial law." Ethan scratched the back of his head. "Right," he said. "Of course it is." Princess Lyra stepped closer to him. Her glowing eyes studied his face with a strange curiosity. "You ran into a fire that even our technology could not control," she said quietly. "Why?" Ethan shrugged. "Because someone was in danger." "That is not a logical answer," she replied. "Humans specialize in those," Ethan said. Before she could respond, the station alarms suddenly changed again. A sharp tone echoed through the corridor. "Security alert," the station AI announced. "Unknown signal detected in station infrastructure." Ethan immediately looked toward the damaged corridor. "That's not good," he muttered. The Queen's guards moved into defensive formation. "Explain," the Queen ordered. Ethan walked toward the scorched wall where the fire had started. He pulled out his diagnostic scanner and activated it. The device flashed several warnings. Then it displayed a message that made Ethan's expression darken. "Oh," he said slowly. "That's really not good." Princess Lyra stepped beside him. "What did you find?" Ethan pointed to the scanner screen. "Your fire wasn't fire." The guards exchanged confused looks. "It was an energy parasite," Ethan continued. "A self-replicating ignition algorithm." The princess frowned. "That technology does not exist." Ethan nodded. "Correct. It shouldn't." He tapped the scanner again, but something injected it directly into the station systems. The Queen's voice became colder. "You are suggesting sabotage." "I'm suggesting someone tried to burn the diplomatic sector while the princess was walking through it," Ethan said. The guards immediately understood the implication. This had been an assassination attempt. The princess looked back at the destroyed corridor, her glowing eyes narrowing. "Who would dare attack an Imperial heir on a neutral station?" she asked. Ethan turned the scanner toward the ceiling. "That's the interesting part." The device projected a holographic signal map. The malicious code had not originated from outside the station. It came from inside. One of the guards spoke quietly. "A traitor." Ethan shook his head. "Worse." He enlarged the hologram. Multiple signals appeared across the station. Hidden inside maintenance networks. Inside communication relays. Inside the defense grid. "Someone has been planting code bombs all over this place," Ethan said. The princess stared at the map. "How many?" Ethan did a quick calculation. Then he sighed. "Enough to turn the entire station into a star." The guards reacted instantly. Weapons raised. Security drones deployed. But the Queen remained completely still. Her glowing eyes moved slowly toward Ethan. "You discovered this within seconds," she said. Ethan shrugged. "Human engineering works differently," he replied. "How?" Ethan smiled slightly. "We assume everything is broken until proven otherwise." The princess studied him with increasing interest. "Can you stop it?" Ethan stared at the hologram again. The sabotage network was massive. Alien encryption layers. Hidden command triggers. Recursive code traps. Even the station AI hadn't noticed it. But humans were good at solving impossible puzzles. Mostly because humans were very comfortable breaking things. "Maybe," Ethan said. "But we need to move fast." Suddenly the hologram flickered. A new signal appeared. A countdown. 60 seconds. Ethan's eyes widened. "Oh great." The princess looked at him sharply. "What is it?" He pointed at the timer. "The person who planted the code just noticed we found it." The timer dropped to 50 seconds. "If that reaches 0, Ethan continued, "every system in this station detonates at the same time." The guards immediately began issuing evacuation commands. But Ethan grabbed the princess's arm. "Evacuation won't help." "Why not?" she asked. "Because the station's reactors will go critical," Ethan said. The princess understood instantly. The explosion would destroy every ship in orbit. Millions would die. The Queen spoke one calm sentence. "What do you need?" Ethan looked at the hologram. Then he looked at the princess. Then he grinned. "Something humans do better than anyone." The timer reached 35 seconds. Princess Lyra tilted her head. "What is that?" Ethan opened the station control panel and connected his scanner directly to the system. "Improvising." The hologram expanded into thousands of code pathways. Alien engineers would normally attempt to carefully isolate each attack. Humans preferred chaos. Ethan began typing commands rapidly. The princess watched the interface scroll with unfamiliar symbols. "What are you doing?" she asked. Ethan didn't look up. "I'm giving the virus what it wants." The timer reached 20 seconds. The malicious code surged through the station network. But instead of resisting it, Ethan opened more pathways. The virus spread faster. The guards shouted warnings. "You are making it worse," one of them said. Ethan shook his head. "Nope." The timer reached 10 seconds. The princess suddenly understood. "You're trapping it," she whispered. Ethan grinned. "Exactly." Humans had discovered something long ago. The best way to stop a wildfire was sometimes to burn everything around it first. Ethan redirected every infected pathway into one place. The station's cargo simulation network. A massive virtual environment used for training. The virus rushed into the open system like water into a canyon. Ethan slammed the final command. The simulation servers sealed. The countdown vanished. Silence returned to the corridor. The sabotage program was trapped. The guards stared in disbelief. Princess Lyra looked at Ethan with growing respect. "You defeated technology our empire does not even understand," she said quietly. Ethan leaned against the wall. "Humans have lots of practice fixing broken systems," he said. Then the station lights flickered again. Another warning appeared. A much worse one. The Queen read it first. Her expression changed for the first time. "Human," she said slowly. "Yes." "You did not stop the attack." Ethan looked up. "What do you mean?" The Queen pointed at the screen. The sabotage program had sent one final signal before it was trapped. A transmission. To something outside the station. Ethan read the message. Then he exhaled slowly. "Well," he said. "That explains the fire." The princess stepped closer. "What does the message say?" Ethan turned the screen toward her. Only 4 words were written in the alien signal. "Target confirmed. Send the fleet." Outside the station windows, the darkness of space began to move. Hundreds of warships appeared from hyperspace, and every one of them was aimed at the station. Princess Lyra looked at Ethan. "You said humans specialize in illogical decisions." Ethan nodded slowly. "Yep." She gestured toward the approaching armada. "Do humans also specialize in surviving impossible wars?" Ethan looked at the fleet. Then he smiled. "Oh, Princess," he said. "That's basically our favorite hobby." And this time, humanity was about to surprise the galaxy. The fleet arrived silently. Hundreds of warships surrounded Celestial Concord Station like dark blades floating in space. Their hulls were sharp, unfamiliar, and terrifyingly organized. No diplomatic flags. No warning signals. Only weapons. Inside the station command hall, the lights dimmed as tactical screens filled with red symbols. The princess stared at the display. "That is not a fleet," she said quietly. "That is an execution." Ethan leaned against the console, watching the incoming ships with a strange calm. "Well," he said, "on the bright side, they brought enough ships to make this interesting." Several Aurelian officers looked at him like he had completely lost his mind. "Human," one officer snapped. "This is not interesting. This is annihilation." Princess Lyra turned to Ethan. "You said humans survive impossible wars. I hope that was not sarcasm." Ethan scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Sometimes sarcasm," he admitted. Then he tapped the command screen. "But not today." The tactical display zoomed in on the enemy fleet. Princess Lyra noticed something strange immediately. "These ships are not broadcasting identification," she said. "Exactly," Ethan replied. "That means whoever sent them doesn't want witnesses." The Queen stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but powerful. "Explain your strategy, human." Ethan stared at the fleet. "I don't have one yet." Several guards raised their weapons again. Princess Lyra sighed. You are improvising again. Correct, Ethan said cheerfully. Step 1 of every great human plan is panic. He began opening different control panels across the station network. Security systems, cargo management, drone traffic, thousands of systems. Princess Lyra watched the chaotic screens. This is not a defense plan, she said. This is chaos. Ethan nodded. Exactly. The first enemy ship transmitted a message. The signal appeared across every screen. A distorted alien voice spoke. Imperial air detected. Surrender the princess. The station will be spared. The room went silent. Princess Lyra straightened. I will not surrender to terrorists. The message returned immediately. Then everyone dies. Ethan tapped the console. Yeah, he said. That sounds about right. Princess Lyra looked at him sharply. You are still remarkably calm. Ethan shrugged. Humans are very comfortable being outnumbered. The Queen studied him carefully. You believe you can defeat that fleet? Ethan smiled. No. Everyone in the room froze. Then he continued. But we don't have to defeat them. The princess crossed her arms. Explain. Ethan pointed to the tactical screen. These ships rely on coordinated targeting systems. That is standard military strategy, an officer said. Ethan nodded. Right. They expect their enemies to fight logically. He typed another command. Thousands of small dots suddenly appeared around the station. Cargo drones. Maintenance bots. Supply shuttles. What are those? The princess asked. Our secret weapon, Ethan said. They are delivery robots, one officer said in confusion. Correct, Ethan replied. The princess tilted her head. You cannot defeat a fleet with delivery robots. Ethan grinned. Not directly. He activated the drones. Thousands of small machines launched from the station in every direction. The enemy fleet instantly locked onto them. Targeting systems activated. Weapons began tracking the swarm. The alien commander spoke again. You deploy civilian drones against warships. Ethan leaned closer to the microphone. Technically, they are commercial logistics units. Then he hit another button. The drones suddenly began transmitting signals. Millions of signals. False radar signatures. Fake engine readings. Ghost fleets. Within seconds, the enemy sensors were flooded with data. Targeting systems malfunctioned. Warships began locking onto the wrong targets. The alien commander shouted something in panic. Ethan leaned back proudly. Humans invented internet spam centuries ago, he said. We perfected the art of overwhelming systems with useless information. Princess Lyra stared at the tactical display. The enemy fleet was completely confused. Ships were firing at empty space. Missiles chased fake signals. Targeting computers were collapsing under the data storm. You attacked their information systems, she said. Exactly, Ethan replied. But we're not finished. He opened the cargo control network. Princess Lyra noticed something else launching from the station. Large containers. Thousands of them. What are those? She asked. Emergency supply crates, Ethan said. Why are you launching them? Ethan smiled again. Because physics still works. The crates accelerated toward the fleet. At first the enemy ships ignored them. Then sensors detected something. Each crate contained heavy station ballast. Dense metal blocks used for orbital stabilization. Ethan had turned them into kinetic weapons. The alien fleet suddenly realized what was happening. The commander shouted orders. But their targeting systems were still blinded by drone signals. The first crate slammed into a warship. The impact tore the vessel apart. More containers followed. Mass and velocity did the rest. One ship exploded. Then another. Then 5 more. Princess Lyra watched in shock. You defeated advanced warships with cargo containers. Ethan shrugged. Humans have been throwing rocks at enemies since the beginning of history. The Queen observed the battle silently. After several minutes, the remaining enemy ships began retreating. Their formation was shattered. Half their fleet was destroyed by confusion and flying metal. Ethan watched them flee. "See," he said casually. "Problem solved." Princess Lyra looked at him with disbelief. "You just defeated a fleet using delivery drones and shipping containers." Ethan nodded. "Human engineering philosophy." "What philosophy?" "If something heavy moves fast enough," Ethan said, "it becomes a weapon." The Queen stepped forward again. Her voice carried authority through the entire command hall. "Human Ethan Calder." He turned toward her. "Yes, Your Majesty." The Queen raised her hand. "Earlier I declared that you would marry my daughter." Ethan sighed. "Yes, about that." The princess crossed her arms, watching curiously. The Queen continued. "That declaration still stands." Ethan blinked. "Even after the war thing?" "Especially after the war thing," the Queen replied. Princess Lyra studied Ethan carefully. "You saved my life. You saved my empire." Then she smiled slightly. "And you turned cargo containers into weapons." Ethan scratched his head again. "I'm starting to think humans might have a reputation problem." The Queen turned toward the observation window. The enemy fleet had completely disappeared. Across the station, thousands of witnesses had watched the battle. They had seen something impossible. A single human technician had defeated an alien war fleet using creativity instead of superior technology. Across the galaxy, the story would spread. The day an advanced empire learned something important. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the most advanced. But they were the most dangerous. Because when humans faced impossible odds, they did not panic. They improvised. And sometimes that was far more terrifying. Princess Lyra looked at Ethan again. "You realize," she said quietly, "that the galaxy will never look at humans the same way again." Ethan smiled. "Good," he said. "Because we're just getting started." And somewhere in the far darkness of space, the enemy who planned the assassination began to understand their mistake. They had tried to eliminate a princess. Instead, they had just introduced the galaxy to humanity.